author, musician, columnist, and a speaker at TED events. Srilekta Das will be in conversation with Shelvin Sebastian. Shelvin Sebastian has been a journalist for over 3 decades.
But his first book, which has remained with me, The Acres Clan, was also marvelous because he dealt with, apart from many other things, paleontological linguistics, right? And it was something which is so close to my heart because language is something I deal with, I work with, I love. It's my passion, it's my profession. And working with Srilekta was very easy because I would insist that he came personally, explained to me every experiment, every aspect of Jagadish Chandra Bose's work, because only then would I be able to edit, in the sense, make it easy for the reader to understand. And dealing with me was like dealing with the lowest common denominator. And therefore, the book has come out extremely well. He does so much research, so much reading. There's so much material in him, I think he can write 100 books on any subject. And I wish him all the very best. I hope this book really goes a long way. And I hope Acres Clan is revived. And you do lots of other things as well. Thank you very much. Thank you, Srilekta.
So, Srilekta, should we start with...
So before that, so how I know Shelvin, so my first book was about this Bengal partition, which I think nobody knew outside Bengal, right? And as I told, right, that we have not been conspicuous is actually the achievement because we resorted to violence, and only if you are violent people know of you, right? So I am proud that we are not known. So it's happened that I went to Kochi for a book event, and then I was wondering, I knew that outside Bengal nobody knew about Bengal partition, so I was wondering, right? And then Shelvin comes and he speaks to me in a Bengali which is even more, correct than my son who is born and brought up in Bangalore speaks. And he told in fluent Bangla, it's more a partition chapter right? I thought, the first Mallu I came across who speaks Bengali better than my son. And I knew of other connections between bombs and Mallus like fish and communism, right? But that was, and so that's about Shelvin. He stayed in Calcutta more than me. And since then, for the last, I think, 10 years, we have been friends.
I was born and brought up in Calcutta. So I'm a half Bong, I'm a Malayali. And my children call me Baba in tribute of my Bengali roots.
And also, like you would have noticed, he introduced me as Shudipto, not Sudipto. So that's a typical Bong thing.
Shudipto was Bengali. Okay. So, Shudipto, my first question is, how did you get the idea to do a biography on Dr. J.C. Bose?
So an interesting anecdote. So yesterday I was there at the bookstore. I was trying to set up my books, and then somebody, I said, "Dekha," and then he spoke in Hindi to his friend. "Arey yaar, ये कौन है जगदीश चंद्र बोस?" तो उसका दोस्त वहाँ से बोलता है, "ये चंद्रशेखर बोस बोल के कोई था ना?" तो बोलते साले वो एक्चुअली सुभाष चंद्र बोस है और चंद्रशेखर आजाद है। वो तो ठीक है पर ये है कौन? So I think that's why I wrote the book, right? So I'm keeping aside his scientific achievements, which I don't want to go into, but just to give you a snippet, he is modern India's first scientist, and now we know he is a co-inventor of radio, which Marconi. I don't want to go into that, but he's a co-inventor of radio, and also he had set up one of the first practical working wireless solutions in the world in Presidency College in Calcutta. He also holds the patent for the first semiconductor device. So semiconductor device is the chip that you see in all electronics. So wireless and semiconductors is something which drive our life today. From the morning you wake up till the time you sleep, in your phone, in your office, in your car, in your everywhere, right? So this guy in India, his work is the foundation of both wireless and electronics, which is semiconductor devices. So that is not something which attracted me. What attracted me was his life, which appeared to be more, I think, interesting than fiction. First of all, he's a scientist, but then he's an avid hunter. How many scientists do you know who at the age of 19-year-old goes to Himalaya and hunts tigers? So he was a hunter. He was a horse rider. He was a professional scholar. Scholar is actually drawing in In England, actually, drawing is called sculling. So he used to do professional sculling in Cambridge, and also he was caught in a storm and while doing deep sea rowing. And more interestingly, there are two important women, Western women in his life, other than his own wife. So one was a very rich American widow socialite, Mr. Sarah Boone, and another was an Irish revolutionary nun called Margaret Elizabeth Noble, who was christened Sister Nivedita by Vivekananda. Both these women were disciples of Vivekananda who came to India to love India, to serve India. These two women play a very important role in Bose's life. So his life is Pati Patni or Go, right? In very good terms. And how these three women played a big role in his life is again a story of how the West and East can play together. Two Western women and an Indian scientist who is also a spiritualist. And finally, what attracted me is that if I have to plagiarize from Charles Dickens' line, right? The timeline of my bio, 1890 to 1910, it's the best of the times and also worst of the times. The geopolitics of the world was going through tectonic changes, which finally formed the 20th century. World War I was going to happen in some time, and there were signs of that. India's Swadeshi movement was going to happen, and I think Bose's life is entwined with all these things. So I believe it had all the characters and features of a fiction, just not any villain. If you put the British as a villain, that's a different thing, but otherwise it had all the elements.
Okay.